But anyway, so one thing I was blabbering about with you guys here too is I do have the next calendar up. I got to move this. And I put it in your Google Classroom. So it is in your Google Classroom. Did anyone go on it yet? Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, I just, on my other hours, I didn't have it shareable, like it was locked out. So you can see it in your Google Classroom and it'll look like this, which is better for you. We don't have to keep scrolling now. It's good to see this too. Here's the end. All right. And I think we do have a test here, even though we have the ACT. Sorry, it's hard to keep track of all this. We might have a test on this day after because you got to be real. You got to get, this is how it works in real life. You have tests on Mondays. We've tried to avoid that for some reason. We're enabling you. In college, they don't care. You have a Monday class, you'll have a test on a Monday. But anyway, get ready for that. It isn't too bad. I hope it's not. We're probably gonna have to ask some stuff from the previous quiz on there because graphing was horrendous. I'm gonna be honest. Grading the written, I was despondent. It was not good. What we're demonstrating, what we know. So we might have to go back to graphing a little bit, and we'll review all that probably throughout next week. It's not too much we have to do. I gotta grab my pen though, so hold on. Take those off for a second. Okay, I hope this isn't too bad today. Okay, back on, and I hope this works. I think it's looking pretty good. And then something that we were saying during the quizzes that we did have today, done with the triangles. You know what? That wasn't our primary way of doing this. Our primary way was like looking at this, and I think this is important to write one more time down because you have time. You have time to improve. You have time to make this work. If you're still getting these 30% that are driving me nuts on tests. I'm going to erase this and put what we put up here. The three coordinates of over 3 over 4 and over 6. Or the two coordinates, three sets of them. So remember, this is a longer x than a shorter y. So that means that's root 3 over 2, comma 1/2. And then this is the classic 45, root 2 over 2, comma root 2 over 2. Not the cleanest here, I guess. And then these switch. That's why sine of a 30 is what? So then what's cosine of a 30? Root 3 over 2. But then what's cosine of a 60? 1/2. It flips. And I don't think people have that connection yet. The 30s, 40s, 50%ers. When I'm looking at these ridiculous quizzes that we're getting. All right, so pick a lane. I think this is my new lane. I'm trashing the triangles. I'm never going to draw another triangle again. I'm going to write this here to try to help those that still have not figured out this unit circle thing. It is frustrating. We're trying to get you here. Do something different so that you can get there and we can stop talking about this. Anyway, cert kicks or ticks also up there. And then knowing your brothers or sisters. And then here we go. AP, AP, AP. Here, you write your own equations. I'm going to have a long sentence and you have to derive what the equation is. So f of x is this, g of x is this, in an x y plane. What are the, let's put this in here, x coordinates. I think that's a typo missing. The x coordinates are the points of intersection. Well, that's just where f of x equals g of x. So that's what I set up first. F of x is 3 cotangent. G of x is just negative root 3. And then I went through a solving thing. Okay, well now, this is kind of like the triangle thought process. It is true that this is x over y. But now what I could do is go up to here and make sense out of this. X over y ended up being 1 over root 3. That's this one right up here, right? That's cosine over sine. That's this one. That's 1 over root 3. Which one is that? Is that the over 6, over 4, or over 3? That's the over 3. Okay, so again, this is going to be a little different than what I had in the other periods as far as notes because I brought up the triangle, right? But it is a 60. Okay, I don't know what else to tell you on that. I want to make sure I'm right there. So x over y. Yeah, and then my other way, when I think about the triangle, root 3 is the reference side opposite the 60-degree angle. So that's another reason I know. That's how I know it's super quick. Because I look at the 1 root 3, 2 triangle. So either way, it's a 60. And then where are you negative? Where's cosecant negative? I'm sorry, cotangent negative. 2, I'll give you that one. What's the other one, everyone? What's the other one? 2 and what? 4. That's why you should have ASTC written on your page. So it's not, when, after 6 days, or actually way more than 6 days, but after 2 weeks off a break, or a week off a break. Ugh, sorry. And that's 2 pi over 3, jump backwards, 4 pi over 3, jump forwards from 3 pi over 3. Wrong. Sorry, I'm in quadrant 4. I was doing a quadrant 3 over 3. Jump backwards from 6 pi over 3. That's 5 pi over 3. So I accidentally did a quadrant 3 on this one. That's why I made that mistake. Okay? And that comes from what I wrote on the board here as well. I'm not going to write them all. Let's do the over 3s. This is 6 pi over 3. So that's why it's jump backwards. This is 3 pi over 3. And I had to be in quadrant 2, so I had to jump backwards to get 2 pi over 3. So I've written this so many times this year. When we were doing quizzes, I'd come up on the board and I'd write it up in this corner before we do a quiz. So you should write it as well if you still don't know how to do this. We still have so many people that don't know how to do this. At this point, it's a problem. Okay, it is a big problem. And I know we're first day after break, but I'm talking about previous break stuff. Okay, and then this is another problem, just simple solving. 11 minus 3 is 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay, that's what you end up getting when you subtract 3 and divide by 4. That should not be tripping us up. By the way, 2 over, 2 over, 2 over 1. That's always the answer when I don't have a denominator. And if this would help you, then do this. Hey, what's sine of a 30, everyone? So flip cosecant, flip 2 over 1. Or go to this and say to yourself, okay, cosecant is sir. Or where do I get 1/2 for a sine value? Look at this, and it's which one? Which one is it? The over 6, over 4, over 3? The over 6. We said sine of a 30 is 1/2 so many times. So this is the 30s in. I didn't mean to cross that off. I'm just saying this is one way around this. So it's the 30s in 1 and 2. Okay? Because sine is positive 1 and 2 ASTC. All the things we're supposed to know that kind of get tired of repeating over and over and over again. But we will. Till we get everyone on board. Right? And then notice the directions. All of them so far from 0 to 2 pi. That just means I need all my answers in all 4 quadrants. That might work. Right? That's why we got to play the ASTC game. AP. Long worded questions. What are the x coordinates of the intersection of h of x and k of x? It's when h of x and k of x equal each other. It's really true graphically. That's why this is worded this way. Be careful on this one. You do have the printed notes in front of you. Subtract 3, and then don't divide by -1/2. I've seen too many disasters with our fractions. Multiply by -2, and then this cancels. It's been too many disasters. Secant of x equals -2. If you wanted to turn that into cosine of x, that equals -1/2. Do something. Or if I could just look at my over here, I keep referencing the board. My board in the classroom has this as well. So we're referencing that. Where do I have a cosine of 1/2? And it's right here up where that's circled. So that proves it's a 60. Or back to this. What sine of a 30? 1/2. This is not sine. This is related to cosine. So I need to find the other one, which is a 60. So it's a 60 in, and now I got to do the quadrant game. 2 and 3. You don't have to write this down. I'm doing this for note purposes. This is what your brain should be thinking. It's a 60, and then where's cosine negative? 2 and 3. All right, and then I get the answers. 3 pi over 3, jump backwards, jump forwards. That's how I get in 2 and 3 respectively. That's it. And hopefully some of you that I'm taking so long to explain this, you're answering ahead of me and then checking your work. That's a note maker, not a note copier. Then you guys are killing me on this. When I had a question like this that was on our last quiz, this was abysmal. How many people have shown me that they don't know how to factor even in the most basic factoring? Or when we had to review people that are trying to distribute this. No, we want to factor this so that we can get the zero product property going. So this is already factored. Get the zero product property going. Either this is equal to 0 or this is equal to 0. And this is stuff, guys, that we've talked about in August, September, October. You know, that was all first semester. Now we're applying trig to it, but you got to get the basics down. Why are we factoring, and then why are we doing a zero product property? By the way, 0 over, 0 over, 0 over. It is 1. Only one person mentioned it. Okay. And then, wait a minute. This is R over Y. Is this possible to have an R value of 0 and a Y value of 1 and a coordinate plane in a triangle? That's good. That means this leads to no answer. And then cosecant of theta is equal to root 2 over, root 2 over, root 2 over. It is 1. And then, I don't know, this one's a little tougher when you go up to this. Because where does root 2 come from? Where does root 2 come from? What do we flip to get root 2? It's maybe worth a discussion. What do we have to flip to get root 2? Which one of those fractions that you see up there? Now, I'll give you a hint. It's listed twice up there in this little thing that I'm showing you. No one said a word in 7th hour yet. Root 2 over 2. Okay, so it's this is where we're at here. We're at a over 4, right? And that's what we should know right away. So it's an over 4 or a 45. And then I need to know what quadrant. So it's a 45 in 1, and where is sign also positive? What quadrant? 2. So it's 45, 1, and 2. You don't have to write that down. What you do have to write, though, is the final answers. Pi over 4 and 4 pi over 4, jump backwards. 3 pi over 4. Okay? All right, so just by you listening right now today, if you really focused and looked at what we did in the quizzes, now what I'm doing, the unit circle should be getting better, but this has been 2 months. 2 months. Okay, so you're taking too long to get this figured out. Get it done. All right, what kind of factoring is this? Starts with a G, everyone. GCF. To not know and to not, this is what the disaster was. Secant of theta times, and then what's left over. So good FOILers, good factors. Close that computer. Makes me think you're doing something during the notes and not paying attention. Now you can sue me because I said your last name on YouTube. He was, you did? That's his answer. You did? What? What happened? Oh, and then he's sitting up now. He's always got that extra chair. He's all laid out back there and needs a pillow. Good FOILers. Because secant times secant is what, everyone? Secant squared minus, and then what's secant times 2? 2 secant. This crushes me. How many people in this room right now that cannot do this factoring? It destroys me. Anyway, secant of theta. I'm the one that has to grade your tests and see the written. Some of us are showing a severe lack of algebra skills still to this day, and it comes from not doing your homework, not coming to school, copying the keys, and all the other stuff that I told you in the beginning of the year we cannot do. 0 over, 0 over, 0 over, 1. What do you think about that one? Good thing or bad? It's great. That cannot happen. So it means I have to do nothing. And then what sign of a 30? So I'm not dealing with a 30. I'm dealing with a what? This is the ones that do it quick. All right. Or I could look up on the board. I hate this. I'd have to keep doing this, but we have it on our board in class, like I said. So where's cosine 1/2? It's at the 60, right? That's another way of looking at it. But I already know it's a 60. And it's the 60s in 1 and 4. all students take calculus, quadrant 4. Again, we're going over that quick because that is so old. We've been doing this for so long. Write it down. Keep looking at it. You know, this thing, this ASTC triangle, but then with more stuff. And then more things you should write on there if it ever comes up as these coordinates when we're on a quadrantal. The one on the right is 1, 0. The one up is 0, 1. The one on the left is -1, 0. That one's 0, -1. Then you can use those coordinates in order to answer any questions when you land there. That's it. This takes like 10 seconds to draw, and then you get to use it on everything from there on out. Something! Do something! Instead of continuing to fail. I'm just tired of it. I don't understand how it can happen. Hey, what am I supposed to put when I square roots to solve an equation? Blah, anyone? Blah, anyone? Plus minus. So it's cotangent theta equals plus minus 1. This is a good thing because where is cotangent positive? Let's just go through this real quick. 1 and 3. And then where's cotangent negative? Let's circle that in red. Well, there's only 2 left. 2 and 4. It just means we're dealing with all 4 quadrants. So we're going to have 4 answers. And then where do I get cotangent 1? It's this middle one. It's when you take this cosine over this sine. Root 2 over root 2 is 1, so it's a 45. All right? Instead of drawing the triangle. Good. I've released from drawing triangles. I've released myself. So it's every single over 4. And somehow it went back to red. So 5 pi over 4. Get your calculator out for the last one. Go ahead and get it warmed up. You always want to be with me with the calculator so you can push the buttons the same I do and then be ready for it. Trying to. I think I did it. That open. Maybe. Okay, and then slide this over because whenever I do the calculator, I punch it on the board here, not on the computer screen. It's easier. Okay, then I'm going to do something. One of our teachers got a little overzealous. Right? Little throwing too much at you at once. Just change this real quick to just x. And then if I remember, I'll tell you how to solve it if it did stay 0.5x minus 1. So we get enough going on with this one. Same directions, listed a little bit differently. It just means take this, p of x, and set it equal to 2, which is saying what p of x is, what are the answers for when p of x equals 2? So that's what we have to do first, just, every question that I'm throwing at you here. All right, and I changed this because that was a little too complicated. I just wanted it to be x for a moment. Then after we get these answers, I'll show you what you can do if it's not that. First thing I'm going to do is subtract 3. That's -1. Basic grade school solving. And then divide by -1.7. Okay, then why did I have you get your calculator out? Negatives cancel. Is this a set of ratios from our unit circle values? No. 30, 45, 60? No. And then what's the other problem? What don't we have on our calculator? We don't have a what button. It's right on the board there. You don't have a cotangent button on your calculator. I don't know why still, even with upgraded calculators, they never made a change on that. It's really weird. I don't know if you could find it at all, even in the catalog menu. You might be able to, but I don't think so. All right, so what you got to do is flip it. Flip cotan to be tan, so flip 1 over 1.7. And then before I do this answer, this is not required, but you should do it for no purposes so your knowledge is good. Do understand that that is a bad 0. Do understand that this is 0 and 3.14 pi, right? Then half of pi is 1.57. And then 3 halves of pi is 4.71. What I'm trying to do is get you to make sense out of your answer. Because your calculator is just going to spit out the answer. Why is that red? Oh, that's nerd. Okay, good. Now I wanted to clear and start fresh. Okay, first thing, I'm in physics. So what's the first thing I should check? Mode. Everyone in physics, they always do degrees. So you have to toggle your calculator back and forth between classes. We're in radians, second quit. And then second tan, 1.75. Whoops. A little short there. Divided by 1. That's what I meant about fine. Did I really have to divide by 1? I don't think so. 1.039. Let's round that to 1.04. What I need you to understand, I don't like that. It's actually a little bit bigger than that, but that's all right. That makes sense that that is in quadrant 1 because it's short of 1.57. That's why I put this down here. But where is cotan and tan also positive? What quadrants? What quadrant are they also positive? 3. So what this is a reference angle. That's all it is. It's that same angular distance in quadrant 3 as a reference angle. So now I ask you, class, you got to focus and think about this question. You're always like, you always got something going on over here in the front. You're tapping your leg like we're in a constant concert or something. I don't know what's happening. Hey, what did I do for the blue? How far is that? Tell me what that is. Is it decimal move? 3. Come on. 3.14. And then how much of this is a move? 1. What am I supposed to do with the green? I'm sorry, the blue and the pink or the salmon? Add them. It's simple. So don't be robots and wait, do I always add or subtract? How do I get that? Guys, you got to just be common sense. I did a 3.14 and then another 1.04. And then go ahead and add those, which is 4.18. I'm not good with mental math. 4.18. Hey, isn't 4.18 short of 4.71? Yes. But also greater than 3.14? Yes. That's why I told you to put those decimals down so you have some common sense out of these answers. All right, now you can shut your ears. I haven't had them open all period. If this was 0.05 or 0.5x minus 1 equals these, then that's all you'd have to do. That's what 0.5x minus 1 equals. And then both these answers, I'd have to add 1 and then divide by 0.5. And that isn't the worst thing in the world. I just didn't want that in the mix right now. All right, I think it's a little too complicated. Does anyone understand what I'm saying there? You freed the argument. Now you can set the argument equal to the answers. But I just didn't think that was, something I wanted to worry about right now. Okay, do your work. Piggyback off of what this was. And let's make some change. Is gonna lift yourself. You know it. Make that change.